Amara was raised by her single mother who, despite lacking much in life, was able to care for her and provide for her. They lived in a decent house, and her mother always bought her decent clothes and put food on the table. Most importantly, she made sure Amara got the best education. Amara often watched as her mother worked extra hard, taking different jobs and coming home tired. Even when she was sick, she would force herself to go to work. Seeing this made Amara vow that she would study hard, excel in school. She could take care of her mother in return. Though she was young, she understood that her mother was struggling, but always masked it with a smile for her sake. Amara became the best student in her school, always excelling in her studies and topping the whole school. Just as she had promised herself. She grew into a very beautiful young woman, known for being disciplined and well-mannered. People in her community and neighborhood praised and respected her for her good behavior and always used her as an example for their children. Finally, Amara's dreams seemed to be slowly coming true. She did so well in school that she got a scholarship to Sin. At university, she stayed focused on her studies, always working hard and keeping her eyes on her goals, never wanting to distract her. But one day, her dreams were suddenly shattered when she got a devastating call from back home. Her mother was critically ill and had been admitted to the hospital. Amara had to leave school and go back home to care for the woman who had sacrificed everything for her and always made sure she was cared for. It was hard leaving her studies behind, but she had no choice. The scholarship had to be terminated. Back home, she stood in the doctor's office as he explained that her mother had a brain tumor that had progressed to a critical stage and needed emergency surgery that cost a lot of money to save her life. That kind of news hit Amara like a bullet. She didn't want to lose her mother, and the fact that they couldn't even afford the surgery broke her inside. In an attempt to get money, Amara sold most of the things in their house. She refused to give up easily. She worked multiple jobs: cleaning, waitressing, tutoring, anything that could help her save some money. One night, after her long part-time job, she sat alone in a park and looked at the little money she had made that day. She realized she still had a long way to go and time was ticking. If she didn't get the money soon, she was going to lose her mother, and that would break her completely because she had vowed to succeed in life and take care of her mother to repay her for all the love and care she had given her throughout the years. As she sat there, forcing herself to eat a dry pie she had bought to quench her hunger, with tears almost falling from her eyes, she noticed a very beautiful girl passing by in luxury brands. Her bag alone could pay for her mother's surgery. She watched as the girl got into her fancy car and drove off. For a moment, Amara wished she was her. She wished she had been born into wealth. She realized how poverty had its own curse, and how some people had it all without needing to work so hard, while people like her had to struggle endlessly. As she sat there deep in thought, her phone rang. It was the hospital. She immediately answered and was told to hurry to the hospital because there was an emergency. She felt her heart sink to the ground, hoping and praying it wasn't what she was thinking. Without wasting a second, she rushed to the hospital and went straight to the doctor's office. Her voice trembled and her hands shook as she asked if her mother was okay. The doctor kept his eyes on her and explained there was no time left. The surgery was needed immediately because if not, they could lose her mother at any moment. Amara's head started spinning when she heard that. She didn't want to lose her mother. She begged the doctor to do the surgery and promised she would pay him back. With tears in her eyes, she said she would do anything, even be his slave, if he just saved her mother. But the doctor said he wished he could help more, yet he was an employee too, and had to follow rules and protocols. Money was needed for the surgery. Amara tried to plead again, but it was no use. She asked to see her mother, and the doctor agreed before walking out. With her knees shaking, Amara made her way into her mother's hospital room. There, her mother lay helpless and in pain. The sight alone broke her heart. She slowly walked to her bedside, sat beside her, and looked at her mother's face, which was slightly turned and struggling to breathe, clearly in pain. Her heart broke into pieces seeing her like that. She reached for her mother's hand with tears streaming down her face and promised she would save her no matter what. She begged her mother to hold on and assured her she would find the money. Her mother faintly smiled and told her it was okay, and she shouldn't stress too much. She said she only wanted Amara to be happy. But Amara, now crying, said she wouldn't be happy without her mother around to save her. Her mother slowly reached under her pillow and handed Amara a business card. Amara took it and looked at it, asking herself who the person on the card was and if he would help save her mother. Her mother, with a weak voice, explained that the person on the card was Amara's father. Amara was shocked and surprised at the same time. Her mother had always told her that her father had died when she was born. She knew her mother had gotten pregnant by mistake, and that her father was never really part of their life. She wanted to ask more questions, but decided to hold back. She didn't want to stress her mother any further. She needed to focus on her getting better. Her mother looked at her and told her that if she was gone, Amara should talk to him, because he was the only person who would help her. Amara looked at her mother and wondered why they couldn't call him now to help, but her mother shook her head. Before Amara could ask why, her mother interrupted her and said she was craving orange juice. Without wasting any time, Amara rose to her feet to get her some juice. Before she could walk away, her mother grabbed her hand, looked at her, and told her she loved her and that she should always remember that. Amara smiled, told her she loved her too, and promised she would be back quickly with the juice. She ran to the vending machine, placed in some coins, got the juice, and rushed back to the hospital room. But as she entered, she was shocked to see the nurse switching off the machines that were connected to her mother, who now lay there, motionless and unconscious. She ran over, asking what was going on, but the nurse simply looked at her, shook her head, and told her she was sorry. Her mother had passed. Amara froze where she stood, the orange juice slipping from her hand and shattering onto the floor. She stared at her mother, unable to believe what she was seeing. It felt like a nightmare. She moved closer, trying to wake her up, telling her she was back with her juice and that she could not just leave her like this. But as the reality sank in that her mother was really gone, an agonizing scream tore from her chest, a cry so raw it felt like it pierced her heart open. Her only parent, her best friend, her only family was gone. She had lost her before she could ever do all the things she had vowed to do for her. She stayed beside her mother's hospital bed, crying bitterly, hoping and wishing that all of it was just a bad dream and that somehow she would wake up and find her mother still alive. But nothing changed. A few days later, after she had buried her mother, alone in their now empty rented house. She had used up the little money she had earned from her many part-time jobs to give her mother a proper send-off. The house felt colder and emptier than ever. She sat on the bare floor, holding her mother's old blouse close to her chest as tears rolled down her cheeks. She was not only alone, but completely broke. The rent was due soon, and she had no money left to pay it. She looked at the business card her mother had handed her on that hospital bed. She turned it over in her hands, contemplating whether or not she should use it. For a long moment she sat there, torn between her pride and her desperation. Finally, putting her pride aside, she picked up her phone with trembling fingers and dialed the number on the card. The phone rang for several long moments before it was answered by a male voice. Amara, her voice shaking, asked if she was speaking to James. The man confirmed it was him but sounded suspicious, wanting to know who she was and what she wanted. Amara paused, gathering the courage to say it. She told him she was his daughter. The man on the other side laughed, accusing her of trying to scam him and telling her to take her schemes elsewhere. Before he could hang up, Amara quickly mentioned her mother's name. There was silence on the line for a moment. The man asked how her mother was, but Amara could not bring herself to explain everything over the phone. Instead, he told her they could meet the next morning. He promised to send her the location before ending the call. Amara sat there alone in the empty house, staring at her phone, wondering if she had made the right choice. The following morning, Amara made her way into one of the most luxurious hotels in town. She stepped inside. She felt a world apart from everything she had ever known. The marble floors gleamed under crystal chandeliers, and the people walking through the lobby looked polished and wealthy, dressed in designer clothes and expensive perfumes lingering in the air. Amara looked down at herself, at the simple clothes she wore, clothes that seemed out of place in such an elegant setting. She felt small and exposed, but she forced herself to keep going. She made her way towards the restaurant area, standing there the tables for anyone who looked like they were waiting for someone. Seeing no one familiar, she reached for her cell phone when a waiter approached her. He told her that a certain gentleman was calling her over. She followed the waiter's pointed hand to a quiet corner where a man's and his presence filled the room. His aura calm yet commanding. Amara's heart pounded in her chest as she realized it must be him. She took a deep breath, gathering every ounce of courage she had left, and slowly made her way towards him, each step feeling heavier than the last.